Welcome to the Indianapolis race weekend for July 25th to the 27th of 2025. The Arca Series 150 and Truck Series Tsports 200 are at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The Xfinity Series Pennzoil 250 and the Cup Series Brickyard 400 are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Last Saturday in the Xfinity Series Bet Rivers 200 at Dover, Connor Zilisch would lead a race-high 77 laps and take the win under caution for rain. This would be his second consecutive victory in a row. Eric Almirola second and Brandon Jones third. Justin Allgaier remains first in the driver's standings. Connor Zilisch moves up 2 spots to second with his 4th win of the season, and Sam Mayer drops 1 spot to third. Connor Zilisch is the big mover of the week in the playoff standings as he goes from third to first. This is a big deal as he just turned 19 on Tuesday, the 22nd of July. He is now the youngest driver in Xfinity Series history to reach 5 wins. Justin Allgaier and Austin Hill round out the top 3. In the Cup Series Auto Trader Echo Park 400 at Dover on Sunday, one of my wildcard picks, Denny Hamlin, would lead 67 laps and get the victory in the second overtime. This was his 3rd career win at Dover. Chase Briscoe was second for the 2nd week in a row, and Alex Bowman third. With a very good race at Dover, Chase Elliott has been moved to first in the driver's standings. William Byron and Kyle Larson round out the top 3. With his season-leading 4th win of the year, Denny Hamlin is your playoff leader, followed by Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell. The big mover on the weekend in the playoff standings is Chase Elliott, who moved up from 12th to 5th after a race-high 238 laps and winning Stage 1. There is one guarantee that someone named Ty will win the in-season tournament $1 million prize. Ty Dillon and Ty Gibbs are in the season tournament finals. I think Ty Gibbs is the odds-on favorite to win, but in this year's tournament, anything can happen and will happen. I would not be shocked if Ty Dillon won, though. Good luck to both drivers. Friday is going to be very busy for NASCAR with races at 2 different tracks. The Xfinity Series practice at Indy Motor Speedway at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW app, followed by Cup practice at 1:05 p.m. Eastern on True TV. We switch over for the Arca at IRP for practice at 1 p.m. and qualifying at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with no coverage. Truck practice is at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time and qualifying at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. Both the Arca LiUNA 150 at 5:30 p.m. and the Truck Series Tsports 200 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time are on FS1. That is all for Friday at IRP. Saturday starts with Xfinity qualifying at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW app. Cup qualifying at 2:35 p.m. Eastern Time on True TV. The Xfinity Series Pennzoil 250 is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW. Final race is the Brickyard 400 on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT Sports. That is all for the weekend in Indianapolis. The weather doesn't look very promising with a 60% chance of rain on Friday, and Saturday between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. there's a 60% chance of rain with highs around 90. Sunday is mostly sunny with highs around 90. I am not hopeful that there will not be any rain delays this weekend. In the 2024 Truck Series Tsports 200 at IRP, Ty Majeski would lead 56 laps and get back-to-back wins at this race. Christian Eckes second and Grant Enfinger third. Corey Heim, Chandler Smith, and Lane Riggs are your top 3 in the standings after Lime Rock. Corey Heim, Chandler Smith, and Lane Riggs are the top 3 in the playoff standings going into the 2025 Tsports 200 at IRP. There were a handful of drivers that I could have put in my predictions, but since I only do 3, Corey Heim is my favorite to win. I was going to pick someone else, but Heim has led 379 laps at the 4 short tracks this season. Even though he has no short track wins on the season, leading that amount of laps has to eventually get him a victory on a short track. Chandler Smith is my first wild card. He is second in both the driver and playoff standings. Smith won the North Wilkesboro race and Bristol for 2 short track wins this season. The second truck wildcard is Ty Majeski. Going into this race last year, Majeski had not won a race all season. That all changed when he went back-to-back in this race. This started a run of back-to-back wins on the season as he would win the next truck race at Richmond. From that point on, Majeski would have 2 second-place finishes at Homestead and Milwaukee, and do enough to make it to the championship 4 and win the title. This year, Majeski is 8th in the driver standings and currently has the final playoff spot up 38 points above 11th place, with 2 more races before the playoffs start. I like his chances to win 3 in a row at this track and possibly make a run like last year. In the 2024 Xfinity Series Pennzoil 250 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Riley Herbst would make a last lap pass on Eric Almirola to lead 1 lap and get the victory. The last few laps had the top 3 leading at one point or another. It was an instant classic in my opinion. Cole Custer was second with the pass at the finish line, and Eric Almirola third. In the 2025 Xfinity Series 250, Kyle Larson is my pick to win. Larson has 2 Xfinity wins on the season at Bristol in dominant fashion and filling in for Connor Zilisch at Texas. He was up by 15 seconds at Homestead before a caution put an end to that. In his now famous quote of saying he wants to go out and embarrass the Xfinity drivers to show them what is possible, can he do that this weekend? We will just have to see what happens on Saturday. This was hard to decide on the wild cards. I thought Allgaier and Hill among others, but settled on my first wild card of Jesse Love. When it comes to the bigger tracks, Love usually qualifies very well. At the last track this size, Pocono, Love was second place. I think that his speed on tracks this size will eventually get him more wins. Final wild card is your hot driver of the summer in the Xfinity Series, Connor Zilisch. Going into the summer, Zilisch only had 1 win. At Pocono, Zilisch won that race. 4th at Atlanta, 2nd at Chicago, 1st at Sonoma, and 1st last week at Dover, for an average finish of 1.8 over those races. With 4 wins on the season, Zilisch sits 1st in the playoff standings and 2nd in the driver standings. Turning 19 on July 22nd and already having 5 career Xfinity wins is awesome. Can he get his first win as a 19-year-old and 3rd win in a row? Tune in on Saturday to find out. In the 2024 Brickyard 400, Ryan Preece would spin out on the final lap. He tried to get the car moving but was unsuccessful and brought out the caution. Kyle Larson led 8 laps to get his first Brickyard 400 victory. Tyler Reddick second and Ryan Blaney third. In the 2025 Brickyard 400, Chase Elliott is my pick to win. After a very dominant non-winning race at Dover, Elliott is ready to win another race on the season. I think he has the momentum to win on Sunday. He is now 1st in the driver standings by 16 points, and a win would increase that lead. Elliott is one of 2 drivers that have finished all races this season and has a 10.2 average finish and no finishes outside the top 20. That is some very good consistency. Hopefully that can get him to victory lane this weekend. The first wild card is Christopher Bell. Bell was 4th in this race last year. He was on his way to winning last week in Dover, but spun out in the first overtime and still finished top 20. Winning 3 in a row earlier in the season was not a fluke. I think he figured some things out last week, and I expect to see him challenging for a win this weekend. Final wildcard is Kyle Larson. Even though the last time he was here at the Indy 500, it was a struggle, I think it can translate to some good fortune this weekend. Larson seemed to be struggling since that double weekend, but the 4th place last weekend gives him good momentum going into this weekend. Can Larson go back-to-back in the Brickyard 400? Tune in at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT on Sunday to find out. This will be a fun weekend. There are so many drivers who have a chance to win other than my picks, so it should be an interesting weekend of racing. Let me know who you have winning in any of the races this weekend, and as always, thanks for watching.